Welcome, everyone. Now, listen, if you're driving the truck right now, drive safely, okay? And if you're in front of the computer, your iPad, your telephone, I hope you'll enjoy the conversation. I thought we might take a look back during today's program to answer one of the questions that I get so often. It's a kind of a neat little story, really. I was 13 years old and had already been a fisherman. You know, I always fished in the summertime with my grandparent on both sides, and I had caught some catfish. It was okay, you know, and I was an angler. And I met a friend in high school. His name was Jeffrey Merrick Hobbins. Everybody called him Rick, and we both played football and all that kind of stuff. But in the summertime, we were fishermen, and there were some what we'll call dollar lakes in the county in Georgia where we lived. You could pay $1 and you could fish all day and keep all you wanted. It was generally carp and catfish, of course. And so in the summertime, Rick and I were sort of partners. And the story goes like this. We found out, well, let me tell you, the two names of the lakes. One of them was called Chinchilla Lakes. It was in DeKalb County in Georgia near Atlanta. And it was because it was the lakes were close to a chinchilla farm. The other was Parker's Lakes, and that also was close by to where we lived. So Rick and I, we fished those lakes for catfish and so on during the summer and on Saturdays when we could. So being 13 years old, there weren't plentiful jobs, and the following certainly worked better than working at a grocery store bagging groceries. I didn't want to do that. So we were fishermen, and we discovered, Rick and I did, that if you would purchase a can or a few cans of Green Giant or whatever labeled whole kernel corn, and you got to the lakes early on Saturdays, that you could use this corn and just kind of fan cast it out around where you were fishing in the shallow end of the lake. And it didn't take long. The smell of that corn and the fact that the corn was there, man, oh man, we were catching them. So I had the idea, we're catching these fish like crazy. Why don't we sell them? So we're hatching that idea. On a Saturday morning, we would get our little setup going and little forked sticks in the water. We used Zebco 202s and Zebco 33s and some Johnson Centuries. That's about all we had. I think one of us may have had a Mitchell 300. That was a really top-class reel at the time. You got to remember, I'm 75 years old, so this was 62 years ago. And my mother would take us to the lake in the mornings. Early in the morning, we'd be the first ones there. And we'd get all set up with our sticks and get the corn all thrown out there. I guess the cans of corn probably cost all of about 19 cents. So we were very liberal with our fan casting the corn. And after we got set up, I would walk around the lake after the population of fishermen got there. These were well attended. And I would visit with the other people on the lake. And my spiel was, hey, listen, we're over there in that corner and we're catching some. So before the day ends, if you need some fish to take home, we'll have some over there if you want some, and we'll sell them to you. Well, some people took to that very well. Some did not. Some would say, okay, little boy, okay, we hear you. Thank you very much. And occasionally you'd get away from me, you little punk. I'll catch my own fish. And quite frankly, I don't blame them for feeling that way. But after lunchtime, lunchtime consisted of Coca-Colas and moon pies. People would, as they got ready to leave the lake, if they didn't have very many, because it was quite obvious we were just catching them like mad, catfish and carp. And people would visit and, do you have any you want to sell? And we'd sell the fish for a quarter, maybe 50 cents if it was a big carp or something like that, or 2 or 3 catfish for $1. I don't really remember, but I won't think it was any more than that. And literally before the day would end, people would be standing behind us and say, I'll take the next one you catch. Literally, and this two little 13-year-olds, but we had it figured out. We could catch them. Now, the irony to all this is the following. You know what I do for a living. Bass fished and all that tournament stuff, low level, not Bassmaster stuff. I've never was that good. And ended up with a radio and television program. And maybe you've seen it, and maybe you listen to this podcast. Well, Rick, he was always in the sporting goods business and spent, 25, 30, 35 years with Browning Arms. So he was a traveling salesman and a broker, and he worked for Browning. So the irony of all this is, starting at 13 years old and throughout both of our lives, I suppose you could say that we still sell our catch. I just made that up. Thought you might like it. Interesting little story. It sure beat bagging groceries for a quarter an hour. And each day, after the day was done and we wrapped up our tackle, and I think his mother probably came and picked us up at the lake, we packed up our tackle and maybe we put $6 or $8 in our pocket for fishing. We got paid to go fishing, and it turned out very well, don't you think? I hope you enjoy the podcast. Be sure and listen to O'Neill Outside on Saturday mornings, WSB AM 750 and 95.5, and nationwide on the SB Nation Sports Broadcast Network. It is the #1 live outdoor-based radio talk show in the world. And if you have occasion to listen, I'd appreciate that. And if you have occasion to watch O'Neill Outside television, I think that'd be good too. It's on the Pursuit Channel, Fox Sports Southeast, Fox Sports Florida, Fox Sports Arizona, the Hunt Channel, Waypoint TV, oh my goodness, Gen 7 Outdoors, Outdoor Action Network, GONE TV, and on and on and on. O'Neill is just everywhere, still, I guess, trying to sell my catch. Appreciate you listening. Be safe out there. This is O'Neill.